Okay, so I'm driving. This is Crystal at the Ring Dance Ranch. I'm heading down to Flagstaff. And it sure is a pretty drive. And I do this drive maybe twice a month, sometimes a little more. And I thought I would take you along. And as usual, I'm just obsessing over my garden and shit I need to get done, and I'm constantly asking myself, what are my priorities? Hopefully this wind isn't too loud. So one of my priorities is to do a sheet mulching with a bunch of cardboard I've been collecting. And that is a process. It's not my first time. I gotta pull all the boxes apart. I got boxes. Most of them need to be like pulled apart. And I guess if I can put my elbow now, my arm's starting to get tired. I'm holding it up too high. I do not have a mount. I could probably get in trouble for this. I'm driving real slow because we have elk. And my coworker just recently hit one. Luckily, the damage wasn't too bad. And unfortunately, the elk died. It was a baby. And the mom was there. And the first thing we all were thinking was that mom's is probably real upset right now. Not that that's funny, but it's funny that that's all of it. What we were both thinking the same thing. Oh, the poor mom. Well, I mean the poor baby too. But what are you gonna do? So anyways, and she's okay, and she should be able to fix her car without too much expense. So, but the lesson is to just drive slow. And I had a deer or an antelope or something walk right out in front of me one time when I was driving kind of slow on this road, a little closer to Flagstaff. And it was kind of neat, actually. And the other night I almost hit a coyote. So anyways, I got to get working on that sheet mulching because I got to get into my storage unit, and I've just kind of been throwing all the boxes in my storage unit, and they're just sort of taking up the whole walk-in space. And just, I got to get that done because tumbleweeds. And I just got to figure out exactly where I want to put it. I was planning on putting it in my pathways out in the garden, but we shall see. I might put them somewhere else. So that is an important project that needs to get worked on, preferably early in the morning or just before dusk, since it's hot as heck. August is the hottest month so far, it seems like. I mean, July has some scorchers, but the spring was real nice up here. Real nice long spring. What a wonderful growing season that could be. So, you know, I need to chisel down my strategy. I just need to be real with myself. I'm not going to be able to drop a couple $100s on peonies anytime soon, and hopefully when I am ready, there will be some available. So anyways, I got to get that sheet mulching done, and I got to hone my strategy, which actually I'm always working on that, but while we're talking about things I really need to do. So one of my strategies is to focus on winter sowing, different methods under a hoop house, greenhouse situation, the sunken Wallapini areas, because my sunflowers weren't blooming until the 4th of July. So, you know, if I can't get the sunflowers or, you know, whatever, my first succession of sunflowers to be ready by the 4th of July, you know, I might, that's going to be my first offering of cut flower products. And then after that, I want to take over the whole garden, you know, with the exception of some of my own fresh fruits and vegetables or certain perennials that will leave root exudates in the soil. But maybe they'll go longer, some of them, like my yarrow. And then, so I'll take over with sunflowers, and I'm going to be just sort of experimenting with a few other things like cosmos, echinacea, zinnias, because I have those seeds. And now I do know that the allium sensations grow amazing, and I really want to buy a slew of those. So I'm going to drop the peony idea because the reality is I'm not ready for it yet. I'm not getting them until I have like dedicated water just for the peonies or something. And I need to have the beds ready. And I've got way too much other things to do this year, because that's a serious investment as far as I'm concerned, and I feel like I want to give them the best chance as soon as I put them in. With that said, I do have maybe 3 or 4 Sarah Bernhardts that I picked up at Dollar General that have just been laying around. And I'm thinking I need to put them in the freezer, and then maybe I'll soak them. But I do want to get those in the ground and just at least give those a shot. But they're going to have to be in the main garden area where I'm already watering. So these are like all of my parameters of how I'm going to make this stuff happen, and my strategies and my sub-strategies to do what I can with what I got. And, you know, really a lot of it is like I just need to experience growing these plants and make sure that I have spaces for them. And I can't be willy-nilly. So those purple sensations, hopefully those won't be selling out soon anywhere. And I believe I'm going to pull the trigger on those today, if I have time. If not today, like late tonight or early in the morning tomorrow or something. I'll probably do it today while I'm at the oil changing place, while I'm at Jiffy Lube. So I gotta get those. And then there are some seeds I want to get. I want to get Blue Plurum because I think those have a good chance of growing here in the fall. I also purchased Bells of Ireland and Agrostemma, and those I'm going to try in the fall, but there's a possibility that they may be better in the spring. So I'm just gonna, you know, save half of the seeds, do half the seeds now and half the seeds in the spring, or, you know, maybe a quarter of the springs, or not necessarily now, but in the fall or sometime after August 15th, which we're coming up on. It's coming up soon. Maybe I'll just do a quarter of the seeds and then save the rest for the spring, and those can be early spring. And so I'll like do 2 plantings of those just to see what works best. But I want to get the Buplurum because it looks like the Buplurum is for sure good to start early herbal plant for herbal healing, and I can't remember exactly what it was, what it was good for, but I remember I really wanted some back when I was very ill, and I was just on a naturopathic, herbs, vitamins, eating healthy, which I got a story about that. Like, so I was like eating super healthy, and I had started eating, I wasn't all like raw fresh fruits and vegetables, but I was trying to eat a lot of raw, but I was cooking a lot, and I was making like these veggie mixes and stuff, and everything I was eating in abundance for like 2 weeks was on the list of things that contribute to gout. I'm like, really? Because I had this the pain, it's like this chilling pain. I don't know if that makes sense. It just sends shivers down your spine, and not in a good way kind of pain, and right in my elbow. Like, I would just barely tap it, and it just would be this searing pain, like, and it's like on the inside, it's not like an outside wound, like it just feels like it's in deep in there, and it's just sharp. Anyways, that's gout, I would imagine. I did not ask my doctor about it at the time that I was going to, but I came to that conclusion. So one of the foods was cauliflower, which is not one of my favorite foods, but I don't hate it either, and I wanted to start. I still enjoy it. To me, it's kind of like a filler veggie that you mix with other things, or put a topping on it, or you make a pizza dough out of it or something, you know? And my dad used to love cauliflower, so it reminds me of him. And I think mushrooms was another thing. And I can't recall what else was on the list. But anyways, where was I? How did I get on that topic? So, my strategy. So I just need to focus on the fall sowing and the winter sowing, and getting my beds ready for the winter, and getting ready to plant all of these seeds that I'm going to winter sow outdoors in the ground with the help of some kind of hoop covering thing, or my HDX bins and other things that I can. There's a lot of options, I'm just going to exercise as many options that are available to me in one way or another, in terms of how I'm growing them. Another thing in terms of spending money, in addition to the Buplurum and the Purple Sensation, is water storage. So the water in the wintertime acts as a warming, passive warming for a greenhouse. So I'm hoping to maybe be able to make some kind of a hoop house, and on the south side I will put those barrels, my water barrels, or they're like trash cans actually. If you haven't seen my videos about how I collect water, you can check that out. And honestly, I couldn't be happier with those, because of the way that I collect the water. Like, I have to dump water from a 27-gallon HDX rectangular shaped bin, and I dump it into the garbage can, and it just makes it easier. Like, I very rarely miss, and I can clean them out real easily. I can move them around more easily. They won't cross-contaminate. They're not and I can just dip my watering can in there, and it makes it very fast. So I really don't have a problem with my system. It is still a little more time consuming than what I would like, but for the time being, I'm okay with it. I can get the water when I'm driving by the water dispenser, and that is frequently, almost every day. So I almost always have water collection in my vehicle, in the back of my truck. And right now I've got it so I can get just shy of 50 gallons in 2 HDX bins. I'm going to make another video about it, because I've honed it a little bit. So anyways, that's just crucial. Like, I really can't water any more of an area than what I'm watering. And it's fine, because I've got a lot of blank space that needs to get filled in. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Another thing that is a priority, not including spending money, is planting cover crops in all of the unplanted areas. And I may leave some areas with just wood chips and bark, mostly bark, because I have a lot of that. And but I do need the bark for the pathways. So, and I really want to, I think I might do like a comparison spot. You know, I always have all these ideas about experimenting. But you know what? That's how you should do it when you first get started. And I've got 2 areas right now. Well, 3 areas really. I mean, I guess you could count my pathway. But I've got, you know, a few areas that I could leave covered in bark and just kind of keep them watered. And maybe even add a little more compost here pretty soon. But I may not. I may just leave them covered and just put more bark and stuff on top of them, and I'll give them a little extra water and maybe do some planting holes, like right now where my zucchini plant is. So anyways, and that'll kind of like ease off what it is I need to do and give me a space that'll be available for maybe those spaces that I leave covered with bark could be where I try to grow certain types of flowers or something, but which ones are going to go in those spots in the spring remains to be seen. Another thing that I need to do is I need to practice making plant nets, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. I've seen various different ways of doing it. Netting seems to be the most popular, but I hear a lot of complaints from gardeners. I guess it just depends on, certain flowers might be more conducive to netting versus others that might be better with like some kind of a board or something stiff, like a railing. Like I might do plant railings. So I gotta get started on that, because I just want to be ready for everything that's coming my way. Then I need to figure out where I'm going to do all those plantings and where I'm going to do cover crops. Now, I could do cover crops for like 3 weeks. So, whatever benefits those cover crops give me in 3 weeks, then that's small window of time. So I'm going to give myself like a 1 week period. Anyways, so yeah, I really got to focus. It's time for winter sowing, and I got to just accept the fact that I got to work with what I got. I didn't get as far as I wanted to over the summer, and I can't think about it. And you know what? It's okay, because I've got enough space to figure out how I'm going to make this work, really, is all it boils down to. It's all in development. This is the development stage. I am in the process of developing a flower farm. That is also, and I think this is important, utilizing regenerative growing methods. And that include interplanting with other plants. So I think, the whole row thing, I totally get it. It's just nice to have a row. And so I definitely want to utilize rows, but so I'm going to interplant in between my rows as well. And another thing that I want to do is see what I can get to grow in my watering troughs that I'm filling with leafy material straight from the garden. I'm chopping and dropping into those, and I'm chopping and dropping around the plants that are actually growing. And there's a lot of exposed dirt, let me tell you. So that is, my immediate plans that are going to help me get to the long term, which will be the spring planting and then ultimately harvests. But sometime, as space allows, or whatever, as much space as I can possibly create, I'm going to fill in the garden with as many sunflowers as possible in the spring. And I'm going to start some early, like I did last year. And so it's going to be all sunflowers. And hey, if I get a few cosmos, if I get a few zinnias, if I happen to get a bigger zinnia patch than I originally intended, fine, because I really want to get on those zinnias. I think that would be a good one to get on, because they're cut and come again. And I've always had luck germinating them, so let's go with those, because I have not been able to get echinacea or cosmos to germinate in the past. Alright, so those are all of the things that I've got to do. Those are my priorities. All of my decisions need to be made around those types of things. And later in the day or tomorrow, I might think of something else that is a must or something. But right now, I think that pretty much covers most everything. And we're getting close to Flagstaff now. So I'm trying to decide if I should take this all the way down into Flagstaff. I don't know how close we are, actually. So if you saw it on the video, hopefully it got caught on the video. I want to know what those pink flowers are. I don't know if they're picking up in the video. Yep, here we are. Now there's Mount Eldon straight ahead. I grew up. My parents had a house on the base of that mountain, and that's where I grew up. From age 10 to age 18. And so yeah, I mean, it's a pretty place. It's Flagstaff. I mean, when I lived here, I always knew it was a pretty place, but I wanted the city, and now I'm happy to be back. So funny. All right, well, with all that said, maybe another time I will do a drive through Flagstaff. So this side of town would be a really great spot to live in if you really like to go skiing, or you like to go just hiking up the mountains, because the Snowball is on what is called the San Francisco Peaks, and I think it's on Agassiz, or I think it, you know what, I gotta look at the map. I think it might encompass several of the peaks. It was a volcano, and I found some people claiming that the volcano is showing activity, and I'm like, oh, well, that's exciting. Oh my goodness gracious. So, you know, I need to look into that and be like, really? Is that really? But anyways, okay, yep. So this is Flagstaff. Crystal the Rain Dance Ranch. When it rains, go out and dance. But also, if you shoot for the stars, you might hit the clouds. All right, bye.